here's your blank canvas. This is where you will do your art, and this is where you'll make your workflows, right? So we need a first step. So all of you with me, right? We need a first step. So add first step, and when you click on it, automatically you'll see on the right, you'll see this thing come up. What triggers this workflow? So it asks, okay, a trigger is a step that starts your workflow. Simple as that, right? So you can have a manual trigger. So you can say, click on this and then it will do something, right? Or it runs on a schedule or a webhook call or something, or a chat message, or there's many ways, okay? But there's a lot of ways you can start a workflow. And in this case, we are okay with a manual trigger. So let's trigger something manually for now. And then perhaps later we'll see other ways, okay? So click on trigger manually. And when you click on this, you see there is this small thing come up, which is when click execute workflow, right? So when you click execute workflow, the workflow will be executed. So this is essentially the start button for this process, right? So add this again. So again, just to repeat this, you click on add first step and you say trigger manual. You can click on it, you can drag it, whatever, but you can click on it as well. It will be added to the workflow. This is effectively the start button. Now, what do we want to do? What do you want to do now? Let's take a simple one where, and there's a reason I'm doing this, but let's take a very simple case where when you click the button, the system will fetch something from the internet, okay, from an API. Okay, and this is very useful. I'll tell you why in a moment. Okay, you'll see why. So what we'll do is we will use the Zen Codes API. Okay, so there is this, you can see my screen, I imagine. So of course, you folks might be knowing about Zen Codes, zencodes.io. Zen Codes is, this place with inspirational quotes, right? And they have given us, thankfully, a free API. So anyone can just use the API and get some quotes. They also have documentation about, what are the kind of things you have available in the API and so on, what kind of things you can do. You can say request quotes from a specific author, like someone, I don't know, Shakespeare or something, list of available authors, API structure, daily inspiration quote, right? Anything. So there's a lot of things you can do. There's also information available here. Okay, so there is this API. You can take a look, and we will use the free version of this API to just fetch a random quote. Okay, what this API does really is, I will put this in chat for all of you. Message everyone. Okay, so if you open this in the browser, you will see you'll get a result like this. Okay, there's a JSON, there is raw data, there is headers, but okay, let's go to the JSON part. And I think it looks a bit different in different browsers, but the content should be the same, right? There will be three things in this. Okay, there will be a Q, there will be an A, and there will be an H. Three elements over there. Okay. Typically, these things, you need to handle via code, but we'll see in n8n you don't need any coding for this whatsoever. Okay. So anyway, there's Q, there is A, and there is H. This thing, which you see on the screen, is a JSON variable, right? It is a very structured kind of a, say, type in which everything, needs to be values for a particular key. So if in Python terms, this is like a dictionary, right? But it's a very common structured thing. Most commonly used type, right, for exchanging data over the internet or systems. Okay, this is what it does. So every time you use this link, okay, random, and you see now it has changed, right? I enter this URL in the browser, you'll see I get a different Q. Q is the quote, like the only normal peoples are the ones you don't know very well or whatever. A is the author, so Alfred Adler. And then H is the HTML code, a nice formatted thing, block quote and only what the same thing, but in a formatted HTML, right? That's it. So this returns three things: Q, A, and H. Simple. Okay. Now, if we are to use this inside n8n, okay, and this is a very fundamental building block, right? You go to n8n. Okay, where is this? Here. Okay. Oops. Here's our flow. Right. You go here and you add. Okay. Add something, and now you'll see you already have a trigger. The trigger is sorted. Now it asks you what you want as an action, what happens next. So you can, in actions, you can have AI stuff, build agents over here, you can have a large language model over here, you can have other specific computer vision models or whatever. You can have other actions like a Google Sheets, or something, do something in Telegram perhaps, right? Or WhatsApp. Or you can do something like here, there's something called core. You can run some code. You can also make an HTTP request, right? That is what we do. So when you open the browser here, we actually made an HTTP request. Okay, we asked this website Zencodes to send us some information based on what we had shared with it. So zencodes.io.api, this thing, right? This is the link. This is the URL from which we will get this. So we need to make an HTTP request, right? So click on this again, and you can just search for HTTP as well. Okay, so HTTP request, and you can click on it, and it opens up. Okay. By the way, you can click on it, it opens up. You can hit escape. You can click on back to canvas. It gets added over here. Okay, and automatically this one is connected. I mean, you can remove a connection like this. You can go and click on delete. Connection is broken, but of course you need things to be connected, data to be flowing, right? So you need to connect, and each of them, or most of the things, right? Especially the actions one, will have an input and an output, right? So this is input. It doesn't really give any data, but it makes this thing work, right? And there's an output. Some output will come out of this. And that is what we will configure now, right? So this is the HTTP request node. And of course, inside this, you can do another node also. You can say, once you get the code, you do something else with it. Once you get the code, you send it to your friend to annoy them, 100 times a day, send them a inspirational quote, right? Until they block you, whatever. So you could do a lot, right? You don't have to end it over here. So there's nodes, the action nodes have inputs and outputs. You can have another one which takes this as this output as the input, right? And so on. And I can maybe demonstrate that as well, right? In a moment. Let's see if there's something in Q&A, right? I don't know which tool you're referring to, but earlier I was opening it inside Firefox, right? It's simply, that's it. It's just Firefox. It's just displaying it in a JSON format. It's smart enough. But here, this is an HTTP request. You can make a request, right, using an API. And here, in this case, it's a get, it's fine. We don't need anything complex, okay? All we need to do is here, enter the API URL, right, that I was sharing earlier. So just zencodes.io/API/random, and that's it. That's all we need to do, right? And once you enter this, this is practically the same as going to the browser and entering this here, right? It's the same thing effectively. So instead of going to the browser and writing it here, you go to this HTTP node and do this here, okay? So that's how you do this, okay? And it's the same thing, but now instead of displaying it in a browser window, the result will come inside of n8n node, and you will get something in the output, okay? So let's see. Let's just enter this here and click on execute step, okay? Execute the step, okay? And you'll see a quote has come up. I thought how unpleasant it is to be locked out, and I thought how worse it is to be locked in. Virginia Woolf and H. So now the three things you had earlier, QAH, are right. QAH are also available here, right? QAH. And the interesting thing is now these A, B, all of these are also available to you to use in a future block. Okay. So let me just show you this how this works anyway. Okay. So you have this workflow. You can say execute workflow. The moment you execute, click on execute this workflow, you'll see something. Okay. You'll see this running here. So there's a flow of information happening. So this thing, you click this first, immediately it goes to this one and it runs this. Okay, so you see it also shows a running icon in a way, right? Some animation. When you open this up, you'll see that it has an output. Output changed because you run it again, right? It's a new code every time. So doing what you love and whatever, right? And this is now finally available to you. So what we have made essentially is a very simple thing, right? A very simple workflow in the way that you click on something, it goes to the internet, it fetches a random course and gives you an output. Now, doing the same thing earlier would need you to write code, right? Code and an environment to write code and stuff. But now you can do this literally in like 1 minute or 2 minutes, right? This is really cool. So this is really giving you a lot of power. And why did I take this example, right? Why did I take an HTTP request? Or why did I take a system which on clicking, it is doing something, some interaction on the internet and giving something back, right? Because this exactly is what your large language models will be doing, okay? Whenever you're using Gemini or, I'm just taking some water, whenever you're using Gemini or anything, OpenAI or whatever, you will actually be using their API. And that's why it's important to know how this basically works. So now you start using the API of OpenAI or anyone, okay?